Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Object Class Narrative, the show where your hosts, A Random Day,
and Captain Kirby
argue with each other and call it a podcast. On tonight's podcast, narrative. Everyone's heard the talking point, your article needs a narrative. But it doesn't. SCP articles are a diverse breed that don't all need narratives the way we understand them in prose. I think that understanding common article archetypes can help you during the writing and critiquing process, so let's get into it. I think the important thing first is to not get too caught up in the grain. There are always going to be exceptions to rules when you're writing SCPs, and there are always going to be articles that combine these archetypes, but I think it's important to at least know that they're there so that you have a better understanding of what makes these articles work and what are things you want to avoid when you're working on them. So I see four main types of articles, Kirby. I see narrative articles. That is the quintessential SCP involving multiple characters with a plot that they are embroiled in. Famous examples being SCP-1730 and SCP-3000. So these kind of articles tend to rely heavily on interview logs, exploration logs, and just logs in general of people in anomalies talking to each other while interacting with each other, or people talking with each other while in an anomaly. The important thing here is that it hews most closely to the traditional plot structure that we see in a traditional piece of prose. There's some fancier cases of narrative-focused articles that have emails between characters, or even have fake computer interactions via fancy JavaScript. But these are all essentially ways of presenting story interactions between characters in a way that is pretending to not actually be prose. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Okay, perfect. Sorry, before you dive in, I also want to quickly touch on the other three main types of articles.
Right.
Experiment logs. So these are the 682 termination log or the SCP-914 experiment logs. So these are some of the oldest and most popular articles on the site because they're about putting anomalies and ordinary things together and seeing what happens. It's basically like smashing action figures together and seeing what happens. I think these have become increasingly rare in the modern writing climate. We see a lot of people trying to write these kinds of articles, but they tend to get shot down during the critique process, and it's probably worth touching on why later on. But for now, just focus on the idea that an experiment article is about an anomaly interacting either with other anomalies or affecting ordinary things, and then having a list of how that anomaly affects these things. That's how you get your kicks out of these experiment-focused articles. So this next one is the third major type of article, character-focused article. So this is different enough from a narrative-focused article that I think it's worth distinguishing, mainly focused on the number of important characters. I find that narrative-focused articles, they tend to cycle through a lot of characters that are relevant in their immediate sections, but oftentimes tend to be killed off, or they tend to stop being the focal point of the article after they've come and gone. A lot of exploration-focused Mobile Task Force articles tend to do this in the meat grinder way, where they kill off all these characters at the end. But in a character-focused article, it focuses around only one or two characters. The anomaly may be a Foundation employee or someone else who is interacting with this anomaly. And the article is about this anomaly growing, changing, or otherwise revealing more of itself to the reader. So, I think that more interview-focused articles like your own SCP-3511 are traditional purist form of a character-focused article. I think that all the Monster Manual articles are also examples of character-focused articles. Now, I know you're a character purist, Kirby. If your characters don't have arcs and chains, then it's not really a character-focused article. But I think that Monster Manual articles that focus on the bad guy at the center of the article that eats people, I think that's still a character in its own right. And I think that the way that these articles are written to show you more of the monster, like SCP-3199 is a fantastic example of this, of a Monster Manual article that is focused on the character of an unthinking evil bird monster. So I'll touch more on that when we get into it, but I think it's important to note that one of the biggest ways character and narrative-focused articles distinguish themselves is that character articles tend to focus on one or two important characters and never really changes its focus away from that character. And then the final form of article is imagery-focused. It's a short-form article that is about quickly delivering a single key image or emotion to the reader. Most imagery-focused articles tend to be shorter, mainly because they're focused on delivering this one key image or emotion. And so they have to be brisk and short to maximize the impact of that emotion. So recap 4 key types of articles: narrative, experiment, character, imagery. What do you think?
I'm going to start from kind of the top, and I will go through and probably respond more in depth to each of the types that you have in mind, because like I don't like the idea of trying to categorize an article in like such a sweeping manner. I say this because when you're writing an article, you might find yourself pigeonholing yourself into one of these like one of these types, even though things like narrative are so incredibly like varied that you're not necessarily like cutting off options. But if you go into an article thinking, oh, it's going to have a lot of experiments, it's probably going to be an experiment log article, you might miss an opportunity to do something else with it that doesn't necessarily fit your preconceived notion of what an article that revolves around experiment logs looks like. The other thing though that I want to know is if you have like a certain essentially certain types of articles and you are expecting what you read to in some way fit these types, then you might end up setting yourself up to not enjoy articles that you might find really entertaining if you had a slightly more open idea of what you were going into at the start. I know there's been a number of times where I've gotten feedback on articles where people said that they enjoyed it, but they just were expecting something else. They didn't have anything that was wrong with what I was doing. They were just looking for something else entirely. It's fine at some point, opinion is opinion, but if you're going into an article and you see a humanoid anomaly that gets some interview logs and you're like, oh, this is going to be a character driven article, and then it kind of takes a left turn and the character stops being as focal, then you might be more disappointed than intrigued to read on or open to why it's doing that. I'm going to start going more into detail on like my thoughts on your specific categories if I take that as an assumption that the categories are a useful way of thinking about it, and then I'll come back to my broader point. People talk about narrative as if you can write articles that don't have a traditional any narrative at all. You don't actually need it for every article, but a narrative can work its way into a lot of articles in places that you wouldn't expect it to be. I realize that the term that's been thrown around a lot when giving critique is looking for and trying to give an article a narrative. A more precise term, at least for the issues that I've run into personally when I'm trying to critique other people's work, is conflict. Narrative is a much more kind of abstract term that gets used when talking about prose and stories. Conflict is much more immediate and has much more concrete definition. For me, a conflict in a story is that you have an agent in the story that has a desire, and there's something in the way of them achieving that desire. That is a conflict. You have like agent, goal, obstacle.
I'm with you so
Yeah,
far.
yeah, and like there's a lot of articles they use this to really great effect, even if it's not like front and center. Like here's one example of an article that might be termed as an experiment log article in your layout of things that I actually think of as an article that has a narrative to it. It is 3780, the Who Killed JFK, I think is the name of it.
Oh, yay! I wrote that one. I'm a big fan.
So the thing is that it has a bunch of experiment logs, sure. But at the end of the day, there's a very clear narrative and conflict. Like the Foundation needs to ensure that JFK dies. There is a group that does it, and there are obstacles that get in the way. Now, that narrative is essentially given in forms of like microfiction in each individual log. They don't necessarily come together to create something larger and more coherent. That's a different argument whether or not telling shotgun kind of miniature stories without a larger arc is like good or bad. But like regardless, in this article, there's a very clear conflict. Coming into reading it, not expecting a conflict and getting this, you're probably not going to be complaining. But if you go in writing this, if you aren't thinking about the fact that the main draw of your article is people wanting to see this conflict resolve numerous times over, then you're not really telling the story at hand. You're probably telling something else that might be less interesting to a reader. Narrative type articles that have characters that you see them and you follow them throughout the story, well, that's very much like a main trope of the site. I think that nowadays, trying to think about it in context of a type that isn't necessarily narrative, and then telling yourself in your head that that means that you don't necessarily need some core elements of a narrative because that's not what you're trying to write, might be steering you away from writing a more engaging piece of fiction. I keep stopping myself because I keep wanting to say tell a more engaging story, but the point is that people here aren't trying to tell stories, which I find strange, but still. The other thing, delving back into character pieces, one of the reasons why I don't like to think of monster manual entries as character pieces is because character implies what I was said at the beginning, that they are an agent in their story, that they have a clear desire, and that we essentially watch them overcome an obstacle to achieve it. A lot of monster manual entries, we don't actually see the monsters necessarily overcome anything. They're either doing their bidding and there's no obstacle, or they're in containment and at that point they're just not achieving their goal. That's not true for all of them, of course. There are examples where this is not the case. And usually in those cases, you could, I guess, call certain monster manual style entries character articles in that sense. But at the end of the day, they might just be kind of stale and thin characters.
So here's where I think I disagree with you in terms of I think that you are placing a little too much emphasis on the notion of dynamism to be a character focused article. I agree that a lot of monster manual entries on the site aren't necessarily active agents of change, but I think that the SCP article being sort of a description of what the monster is, what the monster does, and what has happened to people affected by it, I think draws up a picture of the monster as a character, even if that character is not the protagonist with arc and growth. The monster in the manual is still the driving force behind the article, and therefore I think it is a character in its own right. SCP-4310, SCP-3199. I think that the monster still deserves to be called a character, and therefore these kinds of articles should be thought of as like character-focused pieces.
I'm going to give you some examples of what I consider to be character articles that don't really have much in the way of dynamism. I think a good example of this is SCP-1233, the Lunatic, which is, for those of you who don't know it by its original name, the Moon Champion article. Moon Champion doesn't undergo any real change in that article. The Moon Champion that you get at the beginning is the same Moon Champion that you get at the end. Kooky and whatever. To me, my main difference is that Moon Champion in this article is an obvious agent of its goal. Whatever its goal is, it isn't clear to the audience, but it's clear that it has one, and it's clear that it is attempting to accomplish it. Like, that's to me is what makes the difference. Like, just because you could classify something as a character doesn't make the article character driven per se. I couldn't tell you anything about 4310 as a character. I can tell you a lot about its mechanics. I cannot tell you anything about what it thinks. I can't tell you really what it wants.
I think that is where your boundary for what defines a character-focused article is a little too strict. Even though we don't really know what like SCP-3199 and SCP-4310 think, that adds to the cosmic horror monster vibe, the foundational root of the site horror, that allows us as writers on the SCP Wiki to get away with making an unthinking being a character specifically by showing what it does rather than what it thinks. Even if we don't necessarily know what the monster is like thinking, a good monster manual entry will still show us a character in its own right. The focus on a monster, the way it is the focal point of an article, the way its existence drives the piece, the way that everything that is done in the article is in response to it, I think that is what makes the monster manual entry an example of a character-focused article, because it's still driving the story, even if we don't know what it's thinking at any given time.
I agree that the fact that you don't know exactly why the monster is doing or what it's thinking contributes to the, not necessarily cosmic horror, but like to the horror of a number of entries on the site. In my opinion, just because it contributes to the thing that makes the story effective doesn't make it a character-driven article. I'm not necessarily afraid of the monster because of what it is as a character. I'm afraid of the monster because of what it is as a monster. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to ask me why I should be invested in this monster, why I should care about this monster, the answer is most likely I don't really care about the monster for anything outside of how it's going to affect other people. I don't care about the monster for the monster. I'm going to come back to 1233 because it's the best example for this that I have at the moment of a static character that you can still be invested in. When you read 1233, the whole of that article is largely based around people being invested in the antics of this character, not how it might necessarily affect the people around it. They are in it for that character and hoping that it achieves its goal. Like, I'm invested in the success of this entity, or I'm invested in the failure of this entity. That's another thing. If you're telling me that 4310 is a character piece, due to the fact that I don't know anything about it, and the fact that if I was to try to understand it as a character, I would tell you that maybe it's hungry, I would just consider it a really flat character. And at that point, since the story doesn't give me a lot of making the character more round and more fleshed out, everything I have is very purely speculation, and there's not hints for me to delve into. And the lack of hints, the lack of fleshing out of the character, and the lack of space for me to really flesh out the character in my head that has no real grounding in the article means that to me the character is flat. And when the character is flat, it's not doing much as a character driven article because the character is not interesting as a character. I'm not interested in 4310 as a character. I'm interested in the concept of it existing. I am entertained by the cleverness of the trap that it lays, but I don't attribute that trap at all to what 4310 is actually thinking. I attribute it to like the way that it evolved. Another example, so I'm not just going off of 4310 all the time. 058, Heart of Darkness. Heart of Darkness.
I'm honestly a big fan of this article.
I think the imagery is fantastic. I think the imagery is like
Absolutely.
is A
I think
plus.
it's a fantastic movie monster design.
But like as a character, I couldn't care less. There's nothing for me to be invested in. Nothing beyond the image. It is truly a painting in that it is two-dimensional.
I know that you are not particularly invested in the ways I group articles, but do you think that articles like SCP-058 and SCP-4310 would then qualify more as imagery-focused articles?
Oh, definitely. If I took your categorization without my qualms I have about going and thinking about things in terms of categorization, I would put most of the monster manuals straight into imagery because to me the point is an image. It's a concept. I'm not trying to sell you on anything dynamic, and therefore I'm trying to sell you on an image for your mind. Now, I also think though that there are articles that don't try to sell you on anything dynamic, they don't sell you on a conflict or characters, that don't even try to sell you on imagery either. There are some articles that sell you almost sheerly on how interesting the concept is. I think the person who does this the best out of anyone is Malice Aforethought.
Oh, I'm a big fan of Mouse's high concept articles. My two favorites are SCP-1313 and SCP-5790. 1313 being that there's an integer that, when you think of it, creates a grizzly bear, and 5790, a religion that does not exist anymore because the Foundation took exceeding pains to wipe it from the face of the earth.
I really enjoy 4774, which is a planet that may or may not exist. But these articles, like the grizzly bear one, kind of aside because you get I guess there's a mental image of a grizzly bear there. The other two articles, there's not a lot of like imagery or emotion to sell you on. The concept is exceedingly intriguing. And like that's what it sells you on is how interesting it is to dig into this idea. The way that these articles pull off having not really a sense of conflict, not really any imagery, and just living on the sheer strength of concept is really hard.
The premise of like these concepts being delivered as short fiction existing solely on the basis of how interesting is this to think about. I think that is a special niche of fiction that the SCP Wiki has done a fantastic job in cultivating. And like authors like Malice Aforethought are a fantastic example of authors that have like seized into this niche.
And like this is me coming back to your categorization now. If I was to look at your categories, sure, I know you hand wave at a fifth miscellaneous type that I guess this would fall into, but like if I'm convinced that my article doesn't fall into whatever else out there, trying to sit down and write any of these articles, you probably wouldn't come up with these executions of these concepts. And I think that these executions that Malice uses are exceedingly effective given the concept and given what he's trying to sell you on, because he's just trying to sell you on a concept.
If we instead take the idea of the images category and turn it into the idea of a high concept category, articles that tend to be short and are focused on delivering either a single image, a single emotion, or like a thought experiment like 4774.
Then yes, your categories will then include the thing that I just now mentioned. But my point is that if you are thinking of things in terms of these categories, you might pigeonhole yourself away from ideas that aren't in a predetermined list. If you start from a concept and you aren't asking yourself, what do I want to get out of this concept? how do I best go about doing that as a unique pair of questions for each concept and not trying to cop to a style right away, then you might be missing opportunities. That's the main thing that I'm trying to like come back to.
Fair concerns. My idea for these categorizations of articles, they're not meant for you to like pigeonhole your article into, because there's always going to be exceptions to the rules of categorization. The reason I want to talk about these categories is because I think that knowing that these categories exist throws a monkey wrench into the need for a narrative in your article. And I think it forces you as a writer and a reader to figure out, what do you actually want to say in your article? And when you're critiquing someone's article, would they actually be aided by trying to write in traditional narrative? Do they really need multiple characters to focus on? Or should they focus instead on trying to evoke a clear image? Maybe they're trying to write an article by having a log of like all the things that this article can do, in which case look at other experiment logs to understand how these logs escalate and contribute to the article's progression. The point of understanding these categories of articles in my mind is to make you aware that having a specific story with a clear conflict and characters that undergo dynamism and change and growth isn't necessary and can in fact be detrimental to an article. Understanding that other kinds of articles that don't need what we traditionally think of as a narrative can exist and that they thrive on the wiki, and understanding you can approach your article from these other perspectives, and thinking about whether you should try to writing your article away from the traditional narrative structure. These are worthwhile exercises to help you make your article more focused, rather than like steering you away from something that might work.
I guess it can. The thing that I keep hearing you come back to that I kind of think is very separate from categorizations is knowing what you want your article to do. I think that that is something that not necessarily everyone asks themselves when they start writing an article. When you start writing an article, you might not have in your head the idea of what you want the reader to get out of this piece. That is exceedingly important. I think that knowing what the reader is going to get out of this piece and how the reader is going to get it are the two most important things to know when you start writing an article.
Categorization is a way of helping the author understand the best way to convey their desired message when they figure out what they're trying to say. I think that knowing the different kinds of articles can help them tune the best way to get that message across to the reader.
You're undervaluing a writer's ability to answer that question in a more detailed manner. Once you kind of fit yourself to some sort of larger category, then you might think that you can start fitting yourself to some sort of predetermined structure, to hitting X beats. And I think that that's a dangerous trap to fall into, largely because each article is going to be unique, and the way that it's going to go about achieving what it achieves should be specifically designed for the desired end effect, and not necessarily because this article that does this other thing uses this structure. Sometimes looking at other articles for inspiration is a good thing. That should be done at like a smaller scale than like, oh, I have a character-based article. I should go look at another character-based article, because they could have exceedingly different ways of doing it. Just because two articles revolve around character dynamism doesn't necessarily mean that those should be the way that you go with your character. Like a really good example of this, in my opinion, if you were to look at a lot of articles that we would deem to be character driven, where they focus on a character, I think if you looked at a lot of them, you would get the sense that you probably have dialogue, and that dialogue is an important part of your story. That's not an invalid conclusion to draw. A lot of like really strong articles on the wiki are dialogue driven. So you sit down, you write your character, and you write your dialogue. Then you have 5031, which is a monster manual entry that is actually character driven, but there's like zero dialogue. It's all clinical tone. And it still does a very good job of conveying dynamism in our main character. The arc of that story is very clear without a single scrap of dialogue. And the main character is pretty well fleshed out, even though they never say a word. Being able to fit yourself to a category can help, I guess, if you really don't know where to start. If you're totally lost with your concepts, then yeah, maybe looking at other articles in these very broad categories could be useful. but you should try to come up with the answer to what's the most effective way to tell the story or communicate the image or create the emotion that you want to create before looking at other pieces to guide you by. This also goes for critique in a lot of ways. Like the first thing I tend to ask a person when I do critique, if I don't feel like it's clear from the article itself, is what they are attempting to do with the article. Because if they cannot answer that question for me, then that's the first thing I talk to them about. If they give me an answer, then that immediately reshapes a lot of my critique because I get to compare it to what I thought the article was trying to do. I get to then see how each section of the article compares to what the writer is telling me it's trying to do. And it's much more effective to take the more high level answer and the more varied answer of what is this article trying to do? What's your main draw? What's your main thrust? Why should I be entertained by this? And compare it to what you read rather than say, oh, are you trying to write a character driven article? Well, maybe you should have more dialogue. I keep coming back to that. But if you are focusing your writing and your critique around categories, then like it's so easy to fall into the trap of just not actually thinking about the details and minutia of the writing at hand.
That only happens if you don't understand the purpose of the categorization. And the purpose of the categorization isn't to provide a box for you to like squish your SCP into fit. It's meant to give you ways to structure your piece and organizing the escalation and progression of the story. I am a big proponent of having an idea of how you want to structure your story as you begin writing it, because I find that having a structure for your story can help you improve the pace. It helps you keep focused on how the characters and how the progression of the story needs to move, how the characters need to interact with each other, where they need to end up, how they need to develop, and how to avoid bloating your story or meandering and losing your reader's attention. Knowing these categorizations, it helps you focus better on what you want your article to accomplish and offers structures for you to take advantage of and ways for you to keep your work focused and pared down rather than trying to overextend in too many directions at once and adding too many elements onto a piece that only serve to detract from your core ideas.
I think what I'm getting confused by is that you say that the point of this is not to like be a box to fit your SCP into, which I understand that that's the point, but then you keep saying that they provide structures for you to use to accomplish your goal in your article. To me, if you are using structures based on a categorization, that's when you end up falling into the hole of squishing your article into a box because you're taking a structure that may not be the best for you, but you've seen it elsewhere, and you're trying to match that. Having a predetermined structure for your article is incredibly important, but that's separate from your categorization. That should be a process that is synthesized almost in a vacuum. Because if the reason why I have this interview log here is because, well, a lot of other articles that I see in this category tend to do an interview log at some point with one of our characters, that might not serve a purpose. You have to be very analytical and like purposeful with each section of your writing in context of your own story. Taking inspiration isn't a bad thing. But if you're taking inspiration based off of an overarching categorization and not off of, oh, these two stories actually do something similar, a moment or a scene that's somewhat similar, or they have a small progression of events, something that's much more at a micro level, then it makes a lot more sense to steal. Saying that there's structures that make sense for narrative articles is kind of, in my opinion, unuseful because if you're actually getting a structure from saying, oh, it's a narrative kind of article, then what structure are you getting? They are so incredibly varied. There are so many articles that, like, I see articles that have an underlying conflict or an implied conflict that exists in negative space, but there's enough on the page to extrapolate from it. That it's just a table. It's just a table. Dead Pet Ministry is a great example of this. There's an implied progression and conflict. It's arguable that it's not on the page, so you have to extrapolate it, but there's enough on the page for the reader to at least create guesses at what that conflict and what that progression is in their head. But the whole thing is, it's just a table. Compare that to 1730, which is literally a novel's worth of exploration logs. there's nothing really to compare there. These are two entirely different ways of structuring an article because they're doing two entirely different things. Character-driven articles, again, I have 5031, I have 1233, and I have 30,001. There is no meaningful structure that I can really pull from any of these articles because they're all essentially disjoint. They go about their thing in a very different way that's unique to what they're trying to do. The only one here that actually has a structure you get from it is experiment, and that's because by definition is that it fits a certain structure. If the point is that you get a structure out of this, I would argue that your categories are bad because you're not going to get a meaningful, consistent structure for any of these categories, except for experiment logs. Imagery, maybe, but I kind of doubt that one too. I think that the level at which you get a structure for it becomes unuseful because they tend to be much shorter, so a lot of the important work happens at a micro level. And then if the point is to focus your article, it doesn't matter. You can still have an article that you think is character driven, but your characters are meandering going through their conflict. You can have an experiment log article that has a bunch of experiments, but some of them might not be useful. You can still take structures that fit these categories, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to actually focus your article because it has nothing to do with what your article's actually about.
Well, I'm convinced. The SCP format and the stories that are available to tell with it are too flexible to be pigeonholed into any of the boxes that I put them into. Conversely, though, this also means that they're too diverse and complex for the phrase, this SCP needs a narrative, to really be an effective piece of critique. Is there any way you can make that sense even a little bit more useful?
I think I can, largely because I'm going to make a generalization based off of the articles that I see that tend to get this response. I think that the better piece of advice, I mentioned it earlier, and I'll rehash it. This article could benefit from a clear conflict because now we aren't necessarily. Narrative, again, is not very useful as a term, and you can still embed conflict into a story without telling a traditional narrative with plot points and characters. But one of the ways to get a reader engaged in what's going on is to present an agent and a goal and watch them try to achieve it. Even certain Monster Manual entry articles have clear conflict because it's the Foundation versus the monster. Conflict is at the very center of a lot of really good SCPs. Almost all of them. I say almost because there are some that manage to not need a conflict and sell you on a very pure image or a very pure concept, but those are in the minority. A lot of the time when you're saying something needs a narrative, that's because it feels like you want more to it or that it's feeling lacking in some way. And saying that instead it could benefit from a conflict is a way to very much focus the article down. You know what your central conflict is. And then it's a way to provide a path for how to explore it in that you now know what you need to show. If I'm writing a Monster Manual article where the conflict is the Foundation versus the monster, I need to show the Foundation, I need to show the monster, and I need to show the struggle between the two. Done. If I am working on an article that's based more around a specific character and I say that it needs a conflict, well, now I need to know what the character wants. I need to know how they're going to go about getting it, and I need to know what happens along the way. Done. If something is a little bit more experiment log based, I might frame it as the Foundation or some researcher being your character, discovering more about the SCP being their motivation, preferably something with a little bit more depth than that, like why this is important, that they know what it is. And then your experiment logs show them going about figuring out that answer, preferably in context of why that answer is important. Conflict is something that's much more concrete, much easier to latch onto as someone receiving critique, and in general is something that is at the center of a lot more stories than what we kind of say when we throw around the term narrative.
I don't really have anything else to add to your masterful explanations tonight, Kirby. This was a really eye-opening episode for me.
I have very strong opinions on pigeonholing.
I always enjoy listening to your strong opinions, but I hope that our listeners did too. On that note, thank you for listening to this episode of Object Class Podcast. Good night and take care, everyone.